quick demonstration on how to set up the Speetec as far as mounting. We'll go over the PLC side and some of the SOPA side afterwards. First, what you can do is reference the manual. Go to SICK.com. Once we go to SICK.com, we'll go to Speetec and select the Speetec that we have. I have the programmable version. I've already got that selected here. The mounting on all of them will be the same. So a couple things you can look at is go to videos. There is a quick video here that shows you every bracket, how to connect it, and the distance. So you can use that as well for reference. But if you didn't want to look at that, you just want to look at the manual, you can go here to operating instructions. So after reading through this, I'll know that I need to be 50 millimeters away from my target to the bottom of the Speetec, and it must be parallel. There are some other things where you can get a little bit farther out, and that is documented here. Depending on, so the Z, we can be plus or minus 5 millimeters. So you can see kind of how to mount it there just by looking in the manual. As far as cabling, depending on if you're using HTL or TTL, the cable cannot exceed these distances, or it will not function correctly. So make sure to look over this before running your cable. So we've got this bracket here, and I'll put the part number for the bracket. It also should be listed in the manual. It makes it easy to set up, and I've just got it fixed on here. Of course, if you're in a real life application, then you would want to take that off of there, and I want to make sure that it just barely rests on top of it. And then I can also check my beam spacing to make sure the beams are just about right on top of each other. So you should be able to see that. Now you will either need the Speetec card to see those, or you'll need a webcam or something like that so you can actually see the beams. So if you're wondering, hey, are my beams spaced correctly, or both of my beams working, that's two different ways that we can check it. So that's how to mount the Speetec. Now going into SOPAS, if we want to just verify some of the signals are correct, and as long as you have a programmable model, then you should be able to see all of this data. So looking at the Speetec, once you've got it in your real application, you can look at these numbers and kind of measure and see if make sure you're within that tolerance. So if you're having issues, you can hover across this and you can say, okay, this number is not acceptable to what I need to be. So I need to make some adjustments, or something is not mounted correctly. So definitely take that into account if you have a programmable version of the Speetec. So next, we'll go over the PLC side of the Speetec and some more in SOPAS. Setting up the Speetec with the PLC. First we'll go into the Speetec, and we'll make sure we're set to HTL, since that's what I will be using. Then we need to make sure we verify the pin out and all on the Speetec so we get the correct wiring. So I'll go to SICK.com, and then I'll go just look up Speetec and find the model that I have. When I've selected the right one, I want to make sure that I check the pin out, and also I'm aware of what cable I'm using, because not all cables are color coded the same. So the ones that I'll be wiring, I'll just be using A and B, and I'll be wiring in the power and the ground. So you see that the cable that I'm using has a different color code. So make sure you verify that. If wiring is not correct, you can burn up the Speetec. Then I'll look at my PLC and figure out where to land the wires. You can see there where I've got them all landed. And then I'll go and look in the manual. And here it should be able to tell you where to land the wires when we're using the PLC in high-speed counter mode. You see that I'm using the high-speed counter 0. And that's where I'll be landing, where I've already landed the wires for A and B. Now I'll go and I'll connect to my PLC. And I will be connecting over Ethernet. And I need to enter in the IP address of my PLC so that I can connect to it, verifying that my computer is able to connect to it as well. And once I connect it to the PLC, now I can go in and start getting ready to write a little bit of code. And what I'll do is go ahead and put it in program mode. Then I'll push Control E to do an online edit. I'll create a new run, and I'll move my end command or end instruction to the bottom of the program. Once I've got that in there, I'll delete what was previously there because I only need one end instruction at the bottom of the program. Now I'll just put in a bit to flag or to turn on my information or my instruction. And I'll put this information will go to register D0. And we'll go ahead and put a comment here so we know what this is. And then we'll push R to create a new rung. And then I'll just make a bit so that I can reset the count. And all of these numbers and instructions are in the manual. It's pretty well documented. Now I'll go in and just go into the instruction help and just kind of show you where you can get this information. On how to use the instruction. And you'll see down here why I've selected 10 in my instruction, because I am using high-speed counter 0. Once all that looks good, we can go ahead and send the changes using Control-Shift-E. Then we'll go into settings and we'll set up the high-speed counter. So first we'll determine how we're going to reset the counter. And now we'll just put it in incremental mode. Now we've done that, we'll send the changes to the PLC just to verify it takes everything. When we've done that, we'll put it in monitor mode. And then I'll go ahead and close out everything and cycle power on the PLC. Then we'll open it back up. Then upload back from the PLC. Once we've done that and we've got our everything uploaded, then we'll go ahead and verify that everything is still in there like it was before. Just as a secondary verification, making sure that it did take the changes. Now I'll go ahead and I'll force this bit. But first we'll have to put it back in monitor mode. Now we should be able to force that bit on, enabling our high-speed counter. And now you can see that it's working as I move a box underneath the Speetec. But you can see that no matter if I moved it in or out, I'm steadily incrementing. And then we can use the reset flag and just reset our count. And then I can start counting again. Now we've verified that's worked. We'll go back in program mode, because in some applications or most applications, you want to be able to tell if it's going forward or backwards. So we'll change that to differential phase, and then we'll transfer that to the PLC again. Once all that's transferred, then I'll need to cycle power on the PLC again. Anytime we make a program change and we send the changes, we want to make sure that we always cycle power. Then we can go back online and we can verify that it is working correctly. That done, we'll reset our count, and then I can move the box back and forth, and now you can see that I am incrementing and decrementing. And that's how you set up the Speetec with a high-speed counter on a Omron PLC. So next we'll do is I've made a quick HMI program. So we'll go ahead and reconnect to the Speetec over SOPAS so that we can verify what we're seeing in SOPAS with the programmable Speetec and what we're seeing in the PLC and HMI are the same, and compare that data. You will not be able to see this data with a non-programmable Speetec unless you have a PLC. So now that we've got that opened up, I'll go ahead and reset the Speetec. That way we're both at 0. And then I'll open up the HMI program that I've built, just so that we can see it and the Speetec at the same time. I'll minimize both the screens. Now we'll reset our count so we're both at 0. I'll minimize that, and now we can see both the Speetec and SOPAS and HMI. If you see I move the box, once I stop moving the box, the numbers are the same. Now I'll move it again just to verify that everything looks good. So that's how you set up a Speetec using just the A and B signals with the PLC and the high-speed counter. I hope this is helpful.